Hello student, we have met again and this time to read a very interesting topic, and this is an one-act play. You know what is a play? Play mane hala drama, but one act. Generally olden days re the drama used to be of 5 acts, 5 act ko 5 hours. But gradually in the modern days, people do not have much time to spend in watching a drama or a cinema of a long duration. 2 ghanta 3 ghanta 5 ghanta ro cinema drama dekhiba pai people are no longer interested. So the duration of the drama and the story, long novel ru short story, drama ru, then it becomes one act play. This is an one act play. And the second thing I want to talk to you about is about this drama, this one act play is about superstition. Superstition mane kone janicho? Andhavishwas. Andhavishwas mane kone janicho? Mane amar bele bele we have got such bad idea about certain things. Tome chali ke jaucho, tamo agere kola bilei polei gala. Aji parikha ta pura nashto hoy gala. Tome ghar bahar ko jaucho, ke gote chinki dala. Aji kamota brashto hoy gala. All these kind of wrong things. What a bilete, tar kon responsibility edike choto bilete, how can it affect our fate? But these are the bad kind of understanding we have in our mind, in our heart. This is called superstition, and this superstitious behavior sometimes can lead to very extremely bad effect. It can have a very bad effect. And this story, The Monkey's Paw by W. Jacobs, is about a superstition. And the superstition is related to the paw of a monkey. You know what is a monkey's paw? Chitrana mu kori paribe ki nai, I'm not very sure, but I'll tell you like this. Monkey ra paw ta dhara supposing emiti hela, মানে এটা উল্টা মু উল্টা করে দিয়েছে তুমি ইউ থিঙ্ক দ্যাট ইট ইজ তার পটা হলা এমতি তার গোড়র গোড় ଆଉ ହାତ ମୋ ଚିତ୍ରଟା ଯାହା ତମେ ବୁଝିଦେବ ଟିକେ ଦିସ୍ ଇଜ୍ ତାର ଗୋଡ଼ର ପଞ୍ଝାଟା ବୋଲି ଯେଉଁଟା କହନ୍ତି ଦ୍ୟାଟ୍ ଇଜ୍ monkeys paw. So this particular story of the one act play deals with a superstition regarding monkey's paw. And these are the characters. Mr. White, Mrs. White. Mr. White, Mrs. White kora gote puo achi. Ta na hochi Herbert. About 19 years old. The child's age is, the son's age is only 19 years. And there is another person. That is Sergeant Major Morris. Okay, there are 4 characters in this play. Only 4 characters. But it is a very horrifying story. And Major Morris is a tall, heavy man with a ruddy complexion who served with the British Army in India for 21 years. Oh, there is also a stranger. Tamare 5 jano character. Okay. Tapare gote drama re tumi dekhibo. Another thing about a drama, first thing about a drama are the characters. Every drama should have a story, then they should have characters, they should have dialogues. And also another thing is the setting. Setting mane jo tumar stage ta ko jo rakom bhabare saja haba darkar, that is called the setting in which the drama, the story will unfold. So this setting is like this. The White family's home. This is the home of Mr. Mrs. White and Herbert. In a newly developed English suburb around 1920. The story takes place around 1920. Scene 1. A dark and stormy winter night. So when the drama opens, you find this is a winter night and there is storm that is going on outside the house. The sound of heavy rain can be heard and an occasional thunderclap. Thunderclap mane jo hoye bijli pore seita. The White's living room is cozy and bright. Mr. White and Herbert play chess while Mrs. White knits for by the fire. Herbert is winning. So बापा पुओ मिसी खेली लगी चंती आउ माँ बसी करी सेठी knitting बसी करूची ऊल रे कोन बुणुची एई समय रे समाने बसी के चेस खेलु चंती बापा पुओ. Herbert, not looking too good for you, is it, Dad? Because the dad is losing the game. So the game is not very good for the father. Mr. White, could you please be quiet? I'm trying to concentrate. Listen to that wind howling out there. So he is playing. आउ जेतबेले से तारा मूव करूची हर्बर्ट को कोची सुन सुन लो सेठी केंती सुना जाउची साउंड सुना जाउची बिजुली मारुची so that Herbert will be distracted so he can make his move slightly. Herbert, keeping his attention on the chessboard. I hear it. Mr. White, he won't show up in storm like this, I bet. Who won't show up? So suspense comes. जेकोसी गोटे स्टोरी रे जदि सस्पेंस नथिबो सस्पेंस माने कोन जानि छ तो उत्कंठा तुम एंक्सियस अच्छ गोटे कोन जिंस जानिया पय सेटा नथिले जनरली स्टोरीटा इट लूजेस इट्स कैप्टिवेटिंग कैपेसिटी. Herbert, maybe not, and he moves and check. The father is stalemate. Herbert, met. So now the father is checkmate, the son is winning and the father is losing in the game. I think that you know how to play chess. Okay, I'm not going to teach you how to play chess now. We are going to read this story only. Mr. White angrily, that is what I can't stand about living out in the middle of nowhere like this. Every time it rains, the road gets flooded and no one can get out here. And what do those politicians in town do about it? Nothing. I suppose our 3 votes just don't count. So now the area in which they are living, it is bodhue tike heitibo low area joda pani kaduo hei jauchi barsa hale. And he started, you know what we old people do, we don't have much work to do. Ame boti basi kari politics re eya hala, cinema re se eya hala, rasta re eya hala, basi khali bada bada speech maribo, kamo kichi nai bada bada speech maribo. That is what Mr. Herbert is also doing. Khali se basi ki politician mane kon koruchonti basi ki roichanti kichi koru nanti and all these things. Mrs. White, never mind, dear. Maybe you will win the next time. The rago is Mr. White because he has lost the game. Ahu rago ke gali dauchandi kintu politician manako. Mr. White looks up sharply and sees Mrs. White and Herbert smiling at him in amusement. His annoyance fades and he smiles guiltily. A gate bangs and heavy footsteps are heard approaching the door. So Mr. White is a good man. You can see that. First he loses in the game and he loses his temper, mane ragi jauchi. Tapare tale puo au wife ki taku bujauchanti, he starts smiling. So that shows that he is a very good person, not a person who is temperamental or angry by disposition. Tapare ei samay kon heichi, there was a sound, footsteps sound. Herbert, sounds like he made it after all. So they have been waiting for a man. Mr. White goes to the door and greets Sergeant Major Morris. Because we have got a 4th character, the 4th character has to show. So the 4th character is Major Morris. So now he comes. Who comes in and begins wiping his feet, shaking out his umbrella, etc. Borsa hotala borsare umbrella dhari ke asichanti, asi pahunchi seti taku shake korchanti and clean korchanti, and then he is going to sit down. Mr. White. Mr. White introducing them. Sergeant Major Morris, my wife, this is our son Herbert. They shake hands and the 3 other people sit down while Herbert goes to fix tea. So now the son goes to make tea. Fix tea mane to make tea. Mr. White, glad you made it. We did not know if you would come out in this storm. Morris, storm? This little shower? You wouldn't think much of this if you had ever been holed up in Bombay during the monsoon season. Now there are some storms, let me tell you. Oh, eta ko tuma storm kocho. This is nothing in comparison to Bombay storm. Bombay storm, if you have met Bombay storm, it is too much. You know, he was working in the army and posted at Bombay. Okay, India. Mrs. White, did you live in India a long time, Sergeant Major? Mr. White, 21 years he has been gone. When he joined up with the army, he wasn't a day older than Herbert there, and neither was I for that matter. They were only about 19-20 years old when Major Morris joined the army, and Mr. White was also about the same age. So they were of the same age, Mr. White and Morris. We started out in the warehouse together. What is warehouse? जोटे जिनस पत्र रहे स्टोर हेकरी. Morris, well, time flies. Okay, when I say, oh, time flies, I'm happy. When I say time flies, I'm worried, I'm sad, I'm apprehensive, किछि गोटे खराब दिथर कहला माने time flies, किछि भल नुहे. So we are expecting something भल नुहे. Herbert, bringing the tea. I would like to go to India, see the old temples, maybe catch one of those holy men performing miracles. Morris, shaking his head and sighing, you would better off here. So the young son says that I want to go to India to see a lot of things. You know, the people outside India, they have got a very bad idea about India. The Indians are magicians, fakira, rope walking, snake charmer, and this peculiar katha sabu semane Indian manaka bisare bhal puchanti. So Major Morris says that you are better here. You are much better staying in this place. Don't think about India. Herbert, but you must have all kinds of great stories to tell. The places you saw, the people you met. But when you go to India, you must have, there are so many stories. There was the gote jagare rohibo story tike kami jay. Bahare buliki asla mane kette sabu story thibo. Morris, Mr. White, does he have? What was the story you started telling me the other day, Morris, about a monkey's paw or something? Morris, quickly, nothing really, nothing worth hearing. So Morris says, the father says that you were telling me a story about a monkey's paw. Monkey paw ro gote peculiar picture te mu kar deichi. Okay, monkey paw, and then he says that the major says, oh, nothing. Just forget about the story. Mrs. White, a monkey's paw? Morris, well, it is just a bit of what you might call magic, I guess. Herbert, magic सुनला माने समस्त मन ठाई जाए. हो हमको मैजिक देखिबो कार्ड गेम हमको गेम देखिबो. The Whites look at Morris with interest. Morris, fumbling in his pocket. It looks like just an ordinary little paw, all dried up. He pulls a mummified monkey's paw out of his pocket, holds it out. Mrs. White draws back in horror, but Herbert takes the paw and looks at it curiously. So he takes out a monkey's paw, a type of jeans from his pocket. It is mummified. Mane मरी गला पर गोटे जिनस को मिसर रे आगरू बहुत गुड़े ता भितर बहुत गुड़े जिनस दे केमिकल्स देखरी ताकू सेमती मनीष भलिया करिकरी रखुथिले. Okay, but over here you find that the monkey's paw is wrinkled but mummified, and Herbert takes it and sees it, the son, Mr. White. So what is so special about it? He takes the paw from Herbert and examines it, then puts it down on the table. Now, the turn of the story begins. Till now, everything was going flat, and now we are going to go on a bend that is going to make us more interested in the story. It had a spell. Spell mane kone janicho? माने जो आमे कहनी डाहाणी आउ भूत कि कौन तम ऊपर गोटे स्पेल रो माने कौन तम ऊपर गोटे कौन गोटे आशीर्वाद कि अभिशाप गोटे तादरे थोई दै थांती. ओके, तो सेटा को स्पेल बोली कहा जाए. It had a spell put on it by an old holy man. He wanted to show that fate ruled people's lives and that anyone who tries to interfere with fate would be sorry. He put a magic spell on the paw so that 3 people could each have 3 wishes from it. So now there was a spell on the paw. If you are holding it and wishing for something, then you will get your wish fulfilled. And 3 people can wish for 3 things. Mane not a wish se through milibo. तमर गोटे जिनस विश कला तमे पाइलो माने कोन God has written something on your fate, but you are trying to change your fate. Okay, that is trying to interfere with God's wishes, God's planning for you. And if you are trying to interfere with God's planning, you are going to pay a bad price for that. You have to give a price for that. Sorry. The first owner had 3 wishes. Yes, I don't know what the first 2 were for, but the third was for death. That is how I got the paw. So the first owner had 3 wishes. The third wish was for death, and once he died, the paw came to the major. Sorry. Mr. White, if you had had your 3 wishes, that thing is no longer good for you now. Then Morris, what do you keep it for? If you have already wished for 3 things and you have got your 3 wishes, why have you kept it? Then why don't you give it to me? Tamane mata de movie wish karibi. No good reason, I guess. I did have some idea of selling it, but I don't think I will. It's caused enough trouble already. Besides, no one will buy it. Some people think it is just a fairy tale, and the ones who do think anything of it want to try it first and pay me afterwards. So that is why he was holding on to the thing. If you could have other 3 wishes, would you use them? Morris, I don't know. Mr. White, hey, he jumps up and grabs the paw out of the fire. Oh, then what happens? Morris throws it into the fire. He says that it is a dangerous thing and he throws it into the fire. And then Mr. White jumps, grabs it from the fire. Morris says, the major says, let it burn, let it be destroyed, let it be destroyed. Mr. White, if you don't want it, Morris, give it to me. Morris stubbornly, I won't. I'll throw it in the fire. If you keep it, don't blame me for what happens. If you are smart, you will throw it back in the fire. It is a dangerous thing. Spell, no spell, magic, no magic. It is a bad thing. Throw it into the fire. Throw it into the fire. It is going to bring very bad fate to you. Shaking his head and looking closely at the paw. How do you do it? Morris, hold it in your right hand and wish out loud. Hold it in the right hand and wish out loud. I want this thing. Something like that. But I am warning you, you won't like the consequences. The result of your wish is not going to be good. Sounds like Arabian Nights. Why don't you wish for a few extra pairs of hands for me? She gets up to set the table for supper. Mr. White starts to raise his arm and Morris Alam jumps forward to stop him. The 3 Whites laugh. So now Mrs. White is setting the table. Table ready for dinner. So they were waiting for this man to share their dinner with, because Mr. White and Major Morris, they were friends, and Morris has come over here not to give the monkey's paw, but to have dinner with them. Morris, if you must wish, for heaven's sake, wish for something sensible, but don't want to be here to see it. If you want to wish for something sensible. Sensible mane kono? ମୁଁ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଗୋଟେ କଥା ଜିନିଷଟା ୱିଶ୍ କରୁଛି, ଯେତେ ମୋତେ ଗୋଟେ ପେନ୍ ଗୋଟେ ମିଳୁ କି ମୋତେ ଏଇ ମୋବାଇଲଟା ମିଳୁ କି ସମକା ଗୋଟେ କ'ଣ ଗୋଟେ ମିଳୁ ବୋଲିକିରି ଦୁଇ ଥିନା ଗୋଟେ ସେନ୍ସିବଲ୍, ଯାହା ଦେବା କଥା ଗଡ଼ ଦେବ, ଯାହା କରିବା କଥା ମୋ କର୍ମ ମୋତେ ଦେବ। ମୁଁ ଯଦି ତା ଏଗେନ୍ଷ୍ଟ ଯାଇକି if I wish for something, it can never be sensible. But still then the result is going to be so frightening that Major Morris did not want to see it. He wanted to go away. The 4 sit out and eat supper. The monkey's paw forgotten for the moment. Tapre khaiba sorla and Mr. Morris goes away. Herbert. Well, Morris is quite a storyteller. For a minute there, he almost had me believing that one about the monkey's paw. So the son says that Major Morris was a good storyteller. Did you give that disgusting thing back to him? Mrs. White asks Mr. White. I tried, but he would not take it, and he told me again to get rid of it. To get rid of. Ta mane kono kuwa? To get rid of. To be free of something. To be rid of something. Kichi jinso tamo pakru phopadi dobata. से जिनस पाखु तुम फ्री है टू बी रीड ऑफ इट. wish to be an emperor. Papa, wish that you become an emperor. Dad, to start off with, then mom can't boss you around. If you become an emperor, then mom cannot be your boss any longer. Generally, सब घर माने करे husband और wife को नेकरी joke करा जाए जो wives are the boss of the house. That is what this refers to. Mr. White, taking the paw from his pocket and looking at it doubtfully, I don't know what to wish for, and that is a fact. It seems to me I have got all I want already. If you have everything you want, why do you want to wish for something? Okay, but that is peculiarity of a man. Okay, so that is what he wants to wish for something. You would like to pay off the mortgage though, wouldn't you? Well, wish for 200 pounds then. That will do it. So now the ball has started rolling. Mr. Morris says, I have got everything. Mr. White says, I have got everything. But the son reminds him, you still have some more payment to make. तामने से लोन करके घर नहीं चंती लोन टाको पे ऑफ करिया पे $200 ना कौन पाउंड कौन लखाई जी पाउंड 200 पाउंड दरकार. सो पाउंड होची इंग्लैंड रो पैसा, डॉलर होची अमेरिका रो पैसा. तो he wants that why don't you ask for 200 pounds so that we will be free totally. Mr. White, this is ridiculous, smiling shamefacedly. No, I'm trying though. I suppose. He holds up the paw as Herbert taps a drum roll on the table with his hands. So Mr. White holds the paw in his right hand and he's going to wish while Herbert is standing, the son is standing side re auta hatare drum karke drum bajauchi anguli re. Okay, table upare. Mr. White, I wish for 200 pounds. Herbert finishes with a dramatic flourish. Mr. White cries out, shuddering, and drops the paw. His wife and son run towards him. It moved when I wished it, twisted in my hand like a snake. Mr. White was wishing. He was holding this. Then he started twisting in his hand like a snake. It was frightening. It was a mummified, pura khali hado chomda thaikiri gote jinso de, but it started twisting in his hand. एपदन से माने विश्वास करू नथिले जे that it is a real thing. ए जो स्टोरी गुडा से सुनी थिले from Major Morris are true. जान नथिले, but now the monkey's paw moves in his hand. Mrs. White, you must have imagined it. Mr. White, shaking his hand, I felt it move. Never mind though, I'm all right. They sit down by the fire. A depressing silence settles over them. The howling of the wind grows louder. A door bangs, startling them all. Herbert laughs. So now Herbert has got night shift and he goes to his factory. He goes away to his factory. Well, good night then. You will probably find the money tied up in a big bag in the middle of your bed, Dad, and some horrible creature squatting up on top of the treasure, watching you as you pocket your ill-gotten gains. Okay, then Herbert, the son, goes away. Next afternoon, Herbert has not come back till now. He is still working in the factory. The sun shines into the living room. Mr. and Mrs. White are drinking tea and sorting through the day's mail. The paw lies on the shelf, ignored. Mrs. White, plenty of bills so far, but no check for 200 pounds. I suppose Herbert will have more of his funny remarks for you when he gets home from the factory. Mr. White, I am sure. Seven bottom should be gote dina polilani, pakapeki one day, but they have not got their money. There is somebody outside, a man in the business suit. I have never seen him before. He is acting very strange, as if he can't decide whether to open the gate or not. Here he comes up the path now. So there are some sounds and a man comes up to them. And Mrs. White was looking through the window. Oh, a man is coming towards us. Coming towards us. Now, calm down. No, is there anything wrong? Has something happened to Herbert? What is it? Now, calm down. No point jumping to conclusion. I'm sure our visitor hasn't brought us any bad news. किए गोटे तुम घर को आसला माने जे बैड न्यूज नहीं आसबो बोली काई भाबिबो किंतु Mrs. White feels like that. Mrs. Stranger comes to that door. They open the door, they meet him, and the stranger says, I'm sorry. Mrs. White, Is he hurt? HURT hurt? Is he hurt? गोटे लोकटा आसिक पहुँचला तुम घरे पहुँचु पहुँचु इजी हट माने मो पुअर कौन होगा कि बापा माँ का मन सब बेले पर्टिकुलर माँ मनटा सब बेले जमी थाए कौन टे कौटे साउंड है माने मो पुअर कौन होगा कि मो झीर कौन होगा कि एमती मनटा होता है सो जे स्ट्रेंजर आसिक जो कही आई एम सॉरी हर्बटर कौन होगा कि इज ही हर्ट badly hurt but he is not in any pain your son is terribly has met with an accident but he is not in pain. Oh, thank goodness for that. She breaks up, suddenly understanding, and stares at the stranger in growing horror. The stranger looks at the floor. Mrs. White turns to her husband and takes his hand. There is a long pause. Pause माने किसी कथबार्ता नहीं कि सान चुपेक रही तो पुअर बहुत जोर से एक्सीडेंट होइछि किंतु तार किछि ता देहरे किछि पेन नाही. ओ थैंक गॉड माँ कही देछि तापर से बुझी पारिछि तापर हस्बैंड आ वाइफ हाथ धरा धरी कि ठिया होइके रहिछन्ति दे कांट स्पीक तापर जिंसटा आहुरी बेसी खराब सुनो in a stranger low voice he was caught in the machinery yes he was our only child you know it is hard clearing his throat the company wants me to convey their sincere sympathy with you in your great loss so the company has sent sympathies for the parents okay ame kichi kari paribuni it was his mistake but the company has given you some money the company wants to give you some money a certain sum how much 200 pounds 200 pounds think about it they wished they held Mr. White held the paw in his hand and he wished for 200 pounds. The son goes to the office is crushed by the machinery dice and 200 pounds comes to you. What are you going to do with this 200 pounds when the son is killed? And Sandra death to be 200 pound pouch. That is what Major Morris was telling you. If you are trying to change fate, the fate will change, but you will suffer terribly. Allow fate to go in its own way. Don't ask for any spell. So, night time, a week and half later, already 10 दिन खंडे पळेलाणी किंतु बापा माँ का आखिरे निद नाई मिस्टर व्हाइट कहूँ जे पळी आस बेड को आस बहुत ठंडा अच्छी बेड को आस मिसेस व्हाइट आसुनी इट इज कोल्डर फॉर माय सन शी stops suddenly this train straightens and turns clutching her husband's arm the monkey's paw ସେମାନେ କ'ଣ କରୁଛନ୍ତି ଦୁଇ ଜଣ ଯାକ ଶୋଇବାକୁ ଯାଉଛନ୍ତି ବଟ୍ ମାଆକୁ ତ ନିଦ ହେଉନି ନା ବିକଜ ଦ ସନ୍ ଇଜ୍ ଡେଡ୍ then suddenly the ma remembers the monkey's paw if I wish for my son to come back with the monkey's paw he will come back. Mr. White says no don't wish but she wishes for the son to come back. Okay, I really just thought of it. Why didn't I think of it before? Why didn't we think of it? Think of what? The other two wishes. We have only had one. Wasn't that enough? No, we'll have one more. Go get it down and wish our boy alive again. So the mother wants the son to come back to life with the monkey's paw. Stepping back in horror, you are insane. I want my son back. I want to see my son. You don't know what you are saying. We had the first wish granted. Why not the second? It was a coincidence. Go and get it and wish. Facing her and taking her by the arm, he has been dead 10 days. And besides, I did not want to tell you this, but I could only recognize him by his clothes. He was mangled in the machine. If it was too terrible for you to see then, how would it be now? से मेसिन भीतर पशिकी तार बॉडीटा पूरा पूरी कीमा हो जाइए पूरा मैंगल्ड हो जाइए पूरा बंका तोड़ा रोड़ा मरोड़ा हो जाइए आई कुड नॉट रिकॉग्नाइज माय सन आई ओनली सॉ ए पीस ऑफ हिज क्लॉथ एंड आई कुड नो दैट इट इज माय सन एंड ऑलरेडी आई डिड नॉट अलाउ यू टू सी माय सन देन हाउ डू यू थिंक दैट यू आर गोइंग टू सी हिम नाउ कारण 10 दिन भितर ता बॉडी जहाँ भी थी मांस सब पची जाइए ओके पोक हो जाइए So how do you think that you are going to see him now? Mrs. White, go and get it and wish, facing her, taking her by the arm. Here, sorry, bring him back. Do you think I would fear my own son? Tapre se negri monkey pota negri asichanti. Wish. It is foolish and wicked. Wish, Mr. White, holding up the paw. I wish my son alive again. So the second wish is made. माने आमर गोटे कथा अच्छी तुम जो रकम कर्म कर से रकम फल पाइब आ भाग्य को चेंज करने केबे हेला चेष्टा करिबो नाही कर्म करी फल पाइब ओके आउ कर्म जहाँ करिबो से फल कर्मण्यवादिका रस्ते माँ फलेषु कदाचन काम करी जाओ फल पई आशा रखनी तमें गोटे ताको फल गोटे पाइब बोली कहि विश करदल कौन 200 पाउंड मत दरकार पैसा मागुच भगवान को भगवान को इच्छा थे तुमको देवे ना ताफल कौन ना छुआटा मरीगला से मरबार फाइन हिसाब से कंपनी टाक 200 पाउंड देला एंड नाउ दे वांट द सन बैक अगेन अलाइव जिते कि फास्ट जो से मरी से पूरा पाउडर हो जाता बर्तमान ता देहरे पूरा पोकोजोक भी लग जाए इफ द चाइल्ड कम्स बैक जस्ट इमेजिन द फिगर ही विल बी इन तार चेहराटा केमती हेतिबो He drops, I wish my son alive again. He drops the paw and sinks trembling to the chair. Mrs. White runs to the window and stands looking out. The clock ticks, a stair creaks. Mrs. White comes and sits by her husband. Finally, a quick knock is heard. Mrs. White jumps up. Someone bosichanti, e samartan kabatre knock hela. What is that? A mouse. It is just a mouse in the wall. Another knock. Louder this time. It is Herbert, it is our son. She starts towards the stairs. But Mr. White grabs her by the arm. What are you going to do? It is Herbert. What are you holding me for? Let go so I can open the door. Mo puo asichi. Please mote chhadi dio. Mo jibi. Mo puo ko dekhibi. Mr. White hoarsely, don't let it in. Kobata joda knock heichi. Mrs. White is telling that it is my son. And Mr. White says, don't let it in. It. He does not say he, him. He says it. Kahinki it? Because he is already mangled. He is only a manso pindula. Seta bhi nosto manso pindula. Mrs. White, how can you be afraid of your own son? Let me go. The knocking is louder and louder. She breaks free and runs down to the door. Mrs. White, I'm here, Herbert, I'm here. As she struggles with the lock, Mr. White falls to his knees. He picks up the monkey's paw from the floor and holds it up in his right hand. His lips move, but we can't hear him over the thunderous knocking. He drops the paw. At once the knocking stops and the door springs open. There is a pause and then a long, loud wail from Mrs. White. Beyond her, the road is empty. Wail mane kono? Bodo patre kandila bhaliya gote sound. Somebody had come. Somebody had knocked on the door. Mrs. White runs to open the door. Tala kholila bhitere Mr. White had wished for something. Silently. Party pok karuchi. But party is not open. And she wishes. And he wished for something. The question over here is what he wished for. Because when, the first wish was granted for 200 pounds. The second wish was seemingly granted because there somebody knocks on the door. So what is the third wish? Because when Mrs. White opens the door, Herbert's mother opens the door, there is a wailing sound coming from Mrs. White, coming from somebody we do not know. But then you find that the knocking stops and the wailing sound was from Mrs. White. Beyond her, the road is empty. The road becomes empty. So Herbert had come because the spell was such. But the superstition about the monkey's paw is such that when she wished for her son, dead, mangled, rotten body of the son to come back alive, maybe it had come true. But the third wish may be, because Mr. White did not he did not use any voice, silently he wishes for something. And he might have wished, let my son go back to the grave, let him lie down and take rest peacefully. Be at peace in the grave. That is what the question is about. What was the Lakhai what was the final wish? Question number 14, 14. What was the final wish? You can only guess, you cannot say. But it seems if the first wish was granted and seemingly the second wish was also granted, the third and the final wish by Mr. White might have been for the dead son to go back to the grave. Okay, that is the question number 14. And there are many more questions. Question till number 18. All these are very short questions, like what was the first wish? How was it made? The first wish was for 200 pounds. That was the loan they had against the house to pay back for the house. And the wish was granted by the death of Herbert, their only child, who was caught in a machine. That is why the authority of the plant, they sent that money as compensation. So the money to them came as more as a curse than as a boon. So the monkey's paw was a curse, not a boon. Question number 9, we have already done, where I said what was the first wish and how was it made. Question number 14 was, what was the final wish? What is the effect of the first wish? That is the question number 11 concerning scene number 2. Okay, kintu gote katha dekho, in an one act play, generally one act play ro rule hochi seta gote act bi thibo, gote scene bi thibo. Scene jama change hobani. Jodi scene change hala, scene au cotton bhitere janiche kon difference. Cotton is the final cotton, generally lalia, blue, emti ranga rahita hai. So once that is rolled, then you find the scene about the setting at the back, and the scene should never change. But in this story you find that the scene changes from room to room. That should not take place. That is the mistake of this play. The scene should never change. There should be a one act play, should have only one scene, and it should be, if you are acting, the main purpose of a play is to act, and if you are acting, it should be finished maximum within 45 minutes. So that is the technique of one act play. So this is within 45 minutes we can finish it. We finished it. You saw it. We can finish it within 45 minutes. But over here you find changing of scene. Scene 1, scene 2, scene 3, like this. This should not have taken place in a correct drama that you are going for competition. The drama competition re jibo eta etu cut hai jibo, 0 mark pake pole asibo. But it is not a drama competition, rather it is an examination competition, and that is why we have to know the answer to all the questions. So now question number 11, where he says what was the effect of the first wish, and we have already discussed in question number 9, where you say that the wish came true. The moment Mr. White wished for 200 pounds, immediately the monkey's paw moved in his hand, and he was afraid. Mr. White was afraid, and he dropped the monkey's paw. After that, his son goes to his office, to his plant for his duty, and in the plant he is caught in the machine, and he is so very badly hurt in the machine that even Mr. White was unable to recognize his own son, and he was but the result was that they were granted 200 pound by the office as compensation. Why didn't Mr. White want to make the second wish? Can you tell me why he did not want to make the second wish? What the second wish can be? That is what it tells. Now our son is gone. Once the child goes out of the life of a parent, you are children. You are so very angry with your parents from time to time. Ma koibe ke bapa koibe eta ei jin sokha. ना मो मटन खाइबी चिकन खाइबी आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू ईट एनी सालाड फालाड किछि खाइबी ना मो ए जमा पिंधिबी नहीं बापा को एगेंस्ट राग माँ को एगेंस्ट राग बहुत राग बट यू कैनॉट इमेजिन द काइंड ऑफ लव द पेरेंट्स have for the child in their heart. And once the child is not there, there is nothing left in the life of the parents. And once the child son is dead, what else is there for the parents to wish for? Just tell me. So now over here you find that the second wish was why didn't Mr. White want to make the second wish? Question number 12. He did not want to make the second wish because the son is not there. And the second point is this: Mrs. White wanted for his son to come back alive, and that is what he did not want. Mr. White did not want. He said that if I could not see my son before his burial, how can I see him now after 10 days of his death? Because there will be nothing in the body. It was so mangled after the accident, and now 10 days have already passed. I cannot see the body of my son now. Even if it comes back alive, it will come back alive in the same stage. Body ta pura एमती मोटी माडी हेकि रहिथिबो छतु हे जाइथिबो सब हेइथिबो से खाली जियंता हेकि आस्थिबो ता देह सारा पोको सालबल होइतो किंतु से जियंता हेकि आस्थिबो. Isn't it? Do you think that he will come back alive? Mane come back in his full figure, whole figure? Na. In the stage in which he had gone to the grave, say stage se asibo. Buji parcho? That is why Mr. White did not want his son to come back. Bring him back. Do you think I would fear my own son? Why does Mrs. White say so? Duita kotha. Bring him back. So, do you think I would be afraid of my own son? ता माने आमर कथा नहीं लोकटा मरी गला पर भूत हो जाए तो. Do you think that I'll be afraid of my own son as a bhuta? Or that my son's figure has become so bad I'll be afraid of? No, I will never be, because I'm the mother. I can never be afraid of my son. Whether he's a bhuta or he is a mangled form, I won't be afraid of my son. Did the Whites get what they really wanted? Give reasons for your answer. Did they really get what they wanted? You see, this question is also a metaphor. Once you want something, okay, what do I want? I want a rose. Okay, you must have heard the story of Beauty and the Beast. Beauty said that I want a rose. The father went and plucked the rose from the garden of the Beast, and as a result of which Beauty had to go and become a slave in the house of the Beast. So the wishing for something is not that easy. You wish for something and it may come in a different form altogether. I want to be first class fast. But first class fast जेतबेले हेकिरे मु जेतबेले पास करूची देखला बेलकू I have lost something else. I have lost a hand, I have lost a leg. Supposing मु first class first try आसली मो हातरा भांगी जाइछ ता बेलकू पूरा पळै जाइछ in an accident. Sorry, I don't wish for something, but I'm just giving you an example. Supposing something like this happens, what is the faida of becoming first class pass for me now? Because I cannot write any further. It's very difficult. So I'm not trying to give you bad examples, but sometimes example not the big answer aseni. So the thing is that never try to play with fate. Okay, do your work. Don't ever play with fate. Fate is like fire. If you put your hand inside the fire, you'll get burnt. You do work, hard work, very hard work, and fate itself will give you something on its own. Don't force fate to give you something out of turn. What role did the author want the monkey's paw to play here? It's a very difficult question. It's not that easy. What role do you think that the author wants to play? Author wants the paw to play what kind of a role? The author wanted the paw to play this role. What role? That a man should learn his place in the shape of the universe, in the place, in the sphere of the universe. He should not try to break it, to change it in any manner. आमे गोटे गॉड वर्तमान बने देछि आम पय गोटे यूनिवर्स कोटी पहाड़ अछि कोटी पत्थर अछि कोटी पत्र अछि ओके आमे ताको भांगी रुजी करिके आमे घर बनेबा अमक हब समक हब लास्ट रे कोन हबो आमे एते घर बनै जिबा एते जागा रे रहिबा लास्ट रे हाथी माने आसी के माटी के आसी के हमको मारिबे मारिबेनी because we are trying to play with God's design. So the monkey's paw, the story, the moral of the story, the main intention of the author is that don't play with fire, and that is what the monkey's paw should have taught them, that you should not wish, you should not play with superstition. If you play with superstition, if you are superstitious, then you are going to be met with a bad fate. Describe the weather and its influence on the theme. Okay, now we have got something called setting. I have already told you. Setting mane the place in which an action takes place. Whether it is a story, a short story, a novel, a drama, even a poetry, there is always a setting. There is setting mane gote jaga, system, gacho, dalo, patro, jungle, gote rich lokara ghara, gote poor lokara ghara, gote jami. It can be anything. Number one. Number two thing is this, that beside a surface structure, you should weather also plays an important role. Okay, how weather plays an important role? In many stories you find that jetebele the central character, supposing central character mane hero heroine jetebele gote kichi gote heroine is very angry, bahare dekhiba storm heitiba, the heroine is very sad, bahare barsha houtbo. That is how the writers, the novelists, the poet, they want to project the emotion of the characters through external manifestation, that is weather. Okay, over here you find it is a very frightening night, a storm, and there is thunderclap, there is lightning, there is rain. So it is a very very disturbing night. जदि मन कर एटा जदि नाइट टाइम हेई था तुम जदि पढ़ु था तुमको लगे जे भूत प्रेत आसिक पहुँची गले ओके जंगल भीतर बसिक पढ़ुच डर लगे. सो इट वाज अ वेरी वेरी फ्राइटनिंग नाइट scene was very frightening, the setting was very frightening. So this is how the setting, the weather plays a very very appropriate role. The weather has got an appropriate role to play. It creates a kind of anxiety and fear inside you. So the purpose of the writer in writing that kind of a scenery has done its purpose, has served its purpose. Okay. So another question, I will talk to you about one more question. What was special about the monkey's paw? What was special about the monkey's paw? It गोटे क्वेश्चन रो आंसर जानला माने तुमे सब क्वेश्चन रो आंसर तुमे जानि गलो. So this is, I talked to you initially that there were four people, Papa Ma Puo and Major Morris. There was the fifth person who has come and told you that Herbert is dead, mangled in the machine. Okay, so as a charita major character bitru, Mr. Morris finds the paw first. So the purpose of the paw, a sannyasi, a saintly man had given the paw to another person, and he said that 3 people can have 3 wishes, but it is better not to play with fire. It is better for you not to wish for anything. If you want to wish for something sensible. What sensible thing can you wish for? What is sensibility? गोटे भल जिनस गोटे किछि मागिबा दरकार हुए. भल जिनस मागिया कोन दरकार, भल कोन भल जिनस तुम मागी पारिबो, सेंसिबली तुमे कोन मागी पारिबो. जे वर्तमान चाउल वर्षा हो, ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ କରୋନା ଉଡ଼ି ଯାଉ, ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ କ'ଣ ଜିନିଷ ହେଇଯାଉ, ଯେକୌଣସି ଜିନିଷ ତମେ ୱିଶ୍ କରିବ ଏଗେନଷ୍ଟ ଗୋଇଂ ଏଗେନଷ୍ଟ ନେଚର୍ସ ଡିଜାୟାର, then you find that you are going to face difficulty. Might be a horrible fate that the white couple met with. So it is better not to challenge fate. It is better not to play with superstition. Dharma, I mean, what is it called? Don't play with superstition. So the monkey's paw talks to you about superstition and the negative impact of superstition and negative impact of wishing for the moon. Okay, if you want to go to the moon, become an astronaut and go there. Read, fight and go there. Why wish? Why pray to the God for such a thing? Ask God that there should be Shanti. Sarve Bhavantu Shukhina. That is a much more sensible wish than wishing for 200 pound, 2 lakh pound or something like that. All these are bad things. Okay, so we have discussed the major questions. I wish you all the best. Read well and do well. Thank you.